The mind is the master of all phenomena. The mind precedes all phenomena. The mind is the master, and the mind is the creator. This core teaching of the Buddha acts as a lamp, shining directly into the source of all suffering and bondage that humans often shoulder. We wander everywhere, searching for peace from external factors, forgetting that the root of every problem always lies within our own inner self. To understand this profound principle, let us return to a silent night on a snow-covered mountain long ago. A man named Huike stood frozen in the bone, chilling cold, letting the snow pile up past his knees. His body was freezing, but the most agonizing pain lay within. Carrying a chaotic and tormented mind, he sought out Bodhidharma, the Zen master who was sitting in meditation facing a rock wall. Huike's voice trembled in the silent space as he said, "My mind is deeply uneasy. Please, Master, pacify my mind for me." Bodhidharma slowly turned around, his bright eyes looking directly at his desperate disciple. He spoke in a warm, calm voice, telling Huike to bring that uneasy mind out, and he would pacify it for him. The young man was stunned. "Bring the mind out." Those words were like a sword, cutting through his wandering thoughts. He began to look back into himself, trying to see what shape that screaming, gnawing mess took and where it was located. He searched every corner of his inner self, hunting for the origin of his anxiety and fear. But the deeper he looked, the more he realized a strange truth. There was no entity called an uneasy mind that existed independently for him to grasp and present to his master. It had no form, no sound, and no mass. Finally, Huike bowed and said, "I have searched for my mind, but I cannot find it." Bodhidharma smiled gently and replied, "Then I have already pacified your mind for you." At that very moment, a 1,000-pound burden fell away, and Huike was awakened. That silent story shatters all habits of practicing or fixing oneself from the branches. Huike initially might have been looking for a method, a ritual, or a mantra from the master to soothe his pain. But Bodhidharma used only one sentence to force him to turn his gaze inward. This is the philosophy of directly pointing to the human mind. In our daily lives, we are often like Huike before his awakening. We carry countless torments about wrongs we have committed or terrible thoughts that arise. We condemn ourselves as guilty and begin to seek purification from the outside world. We chant long texts, practice strict rituals, or try to do countless good deeds to compensate for our remorse. But if we do not understand the root of the problem, all those efforts are a futile waste of time. It is like trying to wipe a mirror clean when the dirt is actually on your own face. Sin or merit, good or evil, are not objects that fall from the sky or are imposed upon us by a supernatural power. All are born from the mind. When a thought of greed, hatred, or jealousy arises, the mind begins to paint scenarios and urge wrong actions. That is when sin is born. That thought, do not follow it. Do not nurture it, but quietly watch it dissolve on its own. That is when sin is extinguished. All events in life do not inherently carry the labels of good or bad. A rainstorm can be a joy for a farmer in need of water, but an annoyance for someone in a hurry on the road. The nature of the rain is empty and silent. It is only the human mind that drapes dualistic concepts over it. The fact that humans relentlessly chase external forms of practice stems from fear, specifically the fear of facing one's own inner self. Following a list of rules regarding diet, clothing, or rituals is always much easier than sitting in silence to observe the darkest thoughts swirling within. When an evil thought appears, our common reflex is to deny it, loathe it, and find every way to cover it up with outward actions. We try to do good deeds to hide the budding evil. But that concealment is an exhausting internal war. Your mind is fighting your own mind. The more you deny your shadow, the tighter that shadow clings to you. Applying superficial effort on the outside ultimately only creates a fragile moral shell, while inside, the roots of ignorance silently continue to sap your life force. When we thoroughly understand the logic that all phenomena are created by the mind, we will no longer waste energy on surface-level tools. What needs to be done is not to run away from the darkness or to desperately seek the light in an extreme way. What needs to be done is to learn how to observe. You ask yourself how to face a bad thought that just flashed through your head. It is very simple. When a feeling of guilt or an evil idea arises, instead of panicking, denying, or punishing yourself, be still. Do exactly what Bodhidharma asked of Huike. Ask yourself where this thought that is gnawing at you is located. Where does it originate? Does it vanish? Looking directly at it, you will see it is just a thin stream of energy, a memory, or a temporary reaction triggered by circumstances. It is absolutely not your true self. It is born from a lack of understanding and will automatically dissolve when illuminated by mindful awareness. Let that thought arise, passing by, without interfering and without judging. This process of still observation is the most profound way of purification without needing any external tools. Going deeper on this journey of observation, you will gradually touch a state of clear awareness of your true nature. In the profound philosophy of the sages, this state is called seeing one's nature and becoming a Buddha, which means realizing the inherent pure nature within every sentient being. That nature is inherently silent, vast, and unattached to any opposing concepts, such as good or evil, sin or merit. It is like the vast sky that holds both dark clouds and white clouds. The sky is never stained by the dark clouds, nor does it become arrogant because of the white clouds. The sky is simply the sky, vast and all-encompassing. Your primordial mind is exactly like that. No matter how heavy a sin may be, it is only like a gloomy cloud passing through the infinite space of the mind. When you no longer identify yourself with those dark clouds, all sins will lose their binding power. If the mind does not cling, the sin dissolves of its own accord. Conversely, When you no longer cling to the idea of being a person doing good deeds, then self-complacency about your kindness has no chance to sprout. Everything returns to its original silence. Without understanding this fundamental truth, humans are easily trapped in the cage of formal training. Many people keep very strict rules, yet their hearts are full of resentment and judgment toward those around them. They take pride in their own purity and secretly despise those who are making mistakes. That is the worst waste of time and energy. They are building a grand external moral throne, but inside, their arrogance and prejudice grow larger every day. That discriminating mind, distinguishing between high and low, right and wrong, is the source of all division and lingering suffering. Fixing the exterior while neglecting the internal root is like pulling weeds by only cutting the tops. The roots remain, and the grass will continue to grow even more strongly when the first rain of the season arrives. Only when you realize that everything is born and dies right within your mind can you truly master your life. No external savior can wash away your mistakes if you do not clean your own inner self. Likewise, no terrible circumstance can stain you if your inner self is firm and clear enough to see through the arising and passing of all phenomena. Identifying the true nature of the mind will help you remove the heavy armor of torment and guilt. It allows you to live a lighter life, being more compassionate toward yourself and everyone else. You will begin to understand that those around you are also struggling with countless dark clouds in their own minds. Their wrong actions are actually just cries for help from an uneasy and disoriented inner self. From that deep empathy, true compassion will bloom. A pure compassion that is not based on looking down with pity, but rooted in the understanding that we all carry within us an absolutely pure essence, temporarily obscured by the illusions created by the mind. The journey back to the roots is not a path that requires physical exhaustion or complex, puzzling rituals. It only requires absolute honesty with oneself in each present moment. As each day passes amidst countless events, instead of reacting immediately to the outside world, take a breath to stop. Stop to see how your mind is reacting to the storms. Where is this anger rising from? What shape does this greed take? What memory is this jealousy clinging to in order to exist? When you patiently ask those questions and quietly observe, the light of awakening will naturally be lit. The darkness of sin or blindness will automatically retreat before that light, without you having to exhaust yourself trying to chase or destroy them. Since all sins were born from the mind, they will also smile and dissolve right at the mind. Human life is incredibly short, and life energy is a precious asset that cannot be recovered. Do not let the years pass by in a weary rush seeking comfort from the outside. Do not build temporary moral castles on the quicksand of self-ignorance. All superficial effort that lacks inner reflection brings only a false sense of security and will eventually collapse when facing the real storms of life. Have the courage to return. Sit down very quietly and look straight into the deepest part within. There is neither sin nor merit, good nor evil, but only an infinite silence, embracing all things. Once you have touched that silent truth, you will walk through this volatile world with an incredibly relaxed and free demeanor. You have traveled such a long way to find peace from distant things outside. But are you willing to stop right now to ask yourself, in the end, what shape does the mind that has been leading you all this time truly take?